Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are taking part in the 5 Builders 1 City collaboration. And in the previous episode, I built this blue-collar town on the edge of the lake where we have a prison. And that's kind of the main industry, if you want to call it that, in the town, is housing prisoners and taking care of them. But today, we are going to do more for the region. So, first, I've gone through the city and I keep taking a look to see what issues we might be having. One thing I did notice that I want to take care of right away is that education for the entire region is broken. And this is something that kind of happens in a collaboration, or it can happen because we all have different mod sets and we were all playing different things outside of this. And one thing that I noticed is that our education is way out of whack. So we're down about 5 elementary schools at this point, at least 2 high schools. Our university coverage is pretty poor, and then libraries. I mean, that's not the end of the world. But I want to look at Geneva because I know what I did here, and I know that things are missing. So if you look here, there are no elementary schools except for the private school that I put in. So I'm going to go through, and I think what happened here is at some point the European schools disappeared. So I'm going to go through and add an elementary school and a high school here because I know that both of them disappeared. I think I had at least 2. You kind of see the gaps. So we'll add those back in and at least leave this community in a better spot. I also noticed that in Zardis' area, he's also missing schools. So we're going to get those added back in. And I'm not 100% sure where he had all of this. So I might hold off on a high school. Let's see. I placed some in my area, in my new small town. But I think I could use one over here as well. So I want to not use eminent domain if at all possible. And it looks like this is a location where I can easily add that in. We'll say that that's city-owned land, and it's no problem to add a school. So same thing with elementary schools over here. It's missing, so I will add that right here. And I think at this point, at least, we're not totally suffering with bad elementary school availability. It's not good. Actually, maybe we'll add one more in Zardis' area, or Zardis' former area. I'm just trying to find the most logical place for it. This seems to be a completely fine location. So now there are 2 elementary schools in our capacity. You know, we have an extra couple spots left in our elementary schools before we are telling kids that they are getting packed into the classroom. So it's not perfect by any means, but it's much better. Now I notice I don't have a high school over here, so I guess everyone's getting bussed over to this city over here. So we've resolved that. So what do I want to do today? There are a couple things. Number one, I surveyed the region for needs in terms of just like in general. Obviously, I have the RCI meter, and I could build. I can meet the demands for residential, commercial, industrial. But I saw something that kind of made me think, and that was, I went over to Imperial Jedi's region, and I saw that he had a lemonade factory, and there is no glass there. And because there's no glass, you can't produce lemonade. So this building is just costing the city money and not producing anything. So the reason why it's not producing anything is we don't have an ore industry. So I've got 2 options. I've got this gigantic ore industry available to me, or let's see. There's also this water-based ore industry. I thought about that for a second. I thought, that might be kind of neat, but that's pretty unreasonable. That's not going to mine much. This is an area that's primed for it. And what I think I might do here is something similar to what I did in my Bluffside Crossing series. I think I'm going to lower the terrain here, modify the location of, well, actually, I'll leave that power line there. I'm going to lower the terrain here and build an industry that's kind of cut into the ground. So I'm going to get started on that right now. Okay, that was extreme. And I'm failing at this right now. Much better. So I'm going to just lower this on a couple of different occasions. We're basically we're going to make a pit mine, and we will have our industry around this. But I'm not going to do this the way you might be thinking. So what I'm going to do that's going to be a little different is my industry buildings are going to be in Manitou Shores. I want to really solidify this as the industrial base of the area. And it's going to be a place that, maybe there's a car manufacturing plant in the future. It's going to be the blue collar center, which I think will be a nice fit for it. And we'll figure this out a little bit more later, or as we're going along, because we are going to have roads that kind of circle around down here to get to the bottom, and then we'll have a big extractor at the bottom. So to start out, I think I am going to use dirt roads, and we're just going to follow this new landscape that I set up. And now I'm going to take this down a level. Once again, we'll go down another level. Just keep working our way down to the very bottom. I'll give it a couple different ways out of the mine from down here. There's not really a lot of other ways to get up and out, so give a couple. This is a gigantic cul-de-sac right now, so even though it's an industrial area, it would still be good to make sure that there are a couple ways in and out. It'll help traffic along, and ultimately will make a better district. Now I could make a quick connection here. I think I'm actually going to step this back just so that the queuing doesn't occur quite so close to the intersection that it would be close to. So this is going to be the general layout of the area. I am going to do a little bit of grading just to clean this up a little bit. And now these sloped roads are very, very steep. So I'm going to use Move It and take these up so that it's not quite such a steep decline into this area. And I'll turn the terrain tool on just so I can tell what I'm doing a little bit here. Okay, so now we've got a little bit more terrain work to do, but I'm really liking where this is going. I think that we're almost ready to start placing assets. So we are going to feather some of this out. I want to be really careful now not to get too disruptive with anything. So I did notice there's an area over here that I did not flatten that I kind of want to, so I'm going to go ahead and flatten this. There's not really a purpose outside of aesthetics, so take that for what it is. It's just something that I'd like to do. And I'm kind of regretting that. So I might call a mulligan and go backwards with that choice. It was a bad one. So you have those every now and then. And I'm getting way too putsy with this. What I'm doing is I'm letting perfect be the enemy of good. That's not to my benefit. At this point, this looks pretty darn good, and I stand to ruin it. So I'm gonna take a step back, get out of my own head, and let it be good. This is good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. So at this point, we need to get the ore industry started. So let's go into our industries panel. We need the main building of the ore industry. So I might place that right off, why not right off the main entrance here. And the Franklin ore area, that's not going to stick, because we are all about the Manitou Shores area. So I think that we're going to make this the Manitou Ore Company. And we need to think about who the Manitou people are a little bit, but I want to say that there was a Manitou family that was really, really, really into naming things after themselves, as is customary in for some people. And so they have this town named after themselves. They claimed the naming rights of the lake. So, and we know that they got their money with their ore industry. Let's make sure that I'm not spelling this differently. Okay, Manitou Ores Incorporated, and it's a very great company that doesn't have power or water. So let's take care of getting water to this area. Nice, we have a connection right across the road. So let's get that over here. You might wonder why I'm still going, and that's because I want to loop the water pipes. I'm going to have 2 loops actually. I have one down here. This is pretty commonplace. It's a good way to maintain water pressure and to ensure that if you have to shut down any one water main, you're good to go. Truthfully, we'd like to see another loop in here. So I think that if this were actually being done, knowing that this is such a big industry area and so much water capacity would be used, there'd probably be 2 loops through here. Because if you think about it, now you could cut off either one of these loops to service an area. There'd be valves throughout this entire thing, and you'd still be able to have it function. So we're good there. So now we're going to leave this without power for a minute because we're going to start thinking about our industry and what we need to get it going. So back to our ore industry, and we have everything unlocked, which is good and bad at the same time, because I look at this now and I go, oh boy, I could do whatever I want. So the very first thing I'm going to do, obviously, is put in a big extractor, as long as I have the ability to do so. So let's build a road here. We're going to force this level with the ground, and I'll put all my snap twos back on. Let's see if I can actually place this, or if I did not leave myself enough space. Just enough. Good enough. We will do a little bit of movement, I think, just to get this thing to be flat down here. And now more grading. Oh, I am not going in the right direction with that. So, much better. So actually raising it up just a little bit really works wonders in this area. I think that kind of resolves all of our problems except for this crazy dip down. Just by a visual inspection, that looks okay-ish. So I will leave that. So we have our big ore extraction building. Now we need everything else. And so we could have some more extractors if we wanted. We would certainly want some of the processing buildings over here. And I think, so part of me wants to create another industry over here for the glass building. I don't know how I feel about that. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to hold some of those buildings. We are going to create a little bit of a problem, I think, but it'll be a fun thing to overcome. So I've got to expand this industry area just a little bit across the street. So as we're going about this, so we have this maintenance building. We're going to put that right across the road from our main industry building. I think I'm going to run power lines along the side of this road. Hold on, that's elevated for some reason. Get anarchy off. And just make a clean connection to these existing lines. And it likes that. Good enough for the game. Good enough for me. So now that we have that, let's start thinking about some more buildings. So we're going to need some workers' barracks. This is going to greatly improve the efficiency of our mining operation. So I'm going to place a couple of those right at the top. I like that this part of the road is flat, so they line up very nicely. So that's good. Now we could have some smaller mines through here, and I'm going to probably include some simply for the sake of being able to connect power in some of these areas. I don't think we're going to have any of the medium extractors. They're too big. We could have some underground mines if we wanted, but I don't really know that that fits the character of what we built. So we might keep this pretty basic in terms of what we have in here. I just want to clean that up a little bit. And that's much better. So now we're going to need some warehouse buildings because we have all of these other manufacturing facilities. I don't know that I want to have these over here, like I said. So I might force some of these elsewhere. I do want to have these sand storage. That's going to be for the ore itself. And then we're going to have the actual warehouse looking facilities near the factories once we build those. So with these, I think we're going to keep a couple sand and an ore storage kind of near the top. And I think this will function really, really well. So the only thing that I'm a little dubious about is if you look at this, there's just they have to come up. They're coming up on the wrong side to get to these buildings over here, but that's okay. I mean, that happens in ore industry. So now I kind of want to look. I don't love the way that this looks. It looks like a kind of like a tilled field. So it's, in my opinion, a little bit bizarre looking. Well, that doesn't look any better. So let's get a nice fine brush, and around some of these facilities where there's trees, I do want to plant some grass, and then I want there to be a lot of gravel. And I'm just gonna try something here. I'm gonna go through and I just want to see how this looks. Oh, that looks, in my mind, a ton better. So we're gonna fill in this whole area with gravel. Now I am gonna back this out in certain locations just to improve the way it looks a little bit. I'm just not loving the way that this is turning out, so I'm going to call a bit of a mulligan on this and go back to the drawing board. Sometimes you gotta do that. So I still don't love the way that this ground looks, but I think I am going to target this and keep it just at the bottom of the mine and in some targeted areas around the mine. But I think this is really important because it shouldn't look like a tilled field at the bottom of this. But at the same time, I kind of really dislike the way that the gravel looks when it's covering the cliffs, because gravel would never stick to a cliff like that, so it would certainly roll down. So I wish there was a kind of a paint bucket tool where I could just fill it in, but that is not possible. So we make do with the tools that we have. Okay, so that's where I think I'm going to leave it. Maybe I can't. I got to do one more. Okay, I am much happier with the way that this turned out. I hope that you are as well. It took a little while, but I think it's worth it in the long run. Also think, gravel's messy, it spills, and I kind of want to demonstrate that around these. These buildings are so perfectly manicured, but that's not the way gravel works. So I know that that's one of the reasons why in many communities you'll see that gravel driveways are no longer allowed, because gravel washes out, even if it's behind a fence, and you end up with it kind of everywhere, and it looks a little messy, a little unkept, and that's exactly what I would expect in this kind of area. Something a little bit unkept. So we currently have these on balanced mode. I think that's fine. This is extracting. We're doing good. Good production. Got some more here. We got some grass peeking through. That bugs me. Oh, I shouldn't do this. I'm going to... Whoops. In the wrong area. Okay. And I know I could just... I could honestly do this forever, and not because I enjoy it. I mean, I kind of enjoy it, but because I get really OCD about stuff like this. Probably to an unhealthy extent. So I'm just going to stop, take a step back, and enjoy the area that's been created. So the Manitou Ores Incorporated is functioning well. I do think, we've got these, really nice city streets over here, and that doesn't make any sense. So let's take some industry roads. We will convert these. Okay, so now we have those roads upgraded. We probably could have done the first tier loop in here as industry roads too, but this is good enough. I'm okay with where we've landed. So now that we have Manitou Ores Incorporated, we need our little industrial area over here. So what I want to do is take a look at the topography, because that's really going to dictate everything that we're doing here. And what you can tell is that we kind of have a high point up here. It's interesting because it goes underneath the road and then raises up and goes back down. So we should probably fix this regardless. Much better. This might be an area that makes some sense. Over here, it's just a little bit too sloped for it to work. So I think we might grade out some of this area over here and use that as our industry area. We can come off the roundabout, and then we're not gonna funnel all of that factory traffic into our town, and people will still be able to get to work in this area. So I am going to create a pad for this right now. Why is our garbage processing status showing? Oh, still have it up there. That's why. So it's showing because I never closed it. Sorry about that, everyone. If that's been bugging you for the last little while, know that now it bugs me too. So you might be wondering, for someone who preaches about respecting the topography, why I would just level this whole area. Well, with this type of user, I think that it's totally rational that they would come in and do some significant grading to prep the pad for their site. This is going to be an expensive area, you'd figure. So with that in mind, they would probably be willing to do a little bit of grading work to get their site in a suitable, usable configuration. So I am going to turn my topography on and loop this around this way and suffer through the road sinking into the ground again. So I don't love that. We'll fix it after the fact. Okay, so we raise that back up to terrain height. We're probably going to be incredibly disrespectful of the topography and raise this up and do a little bit more smoothing, and we'll make a connection here at some point in the future, probably to this collector road over here. It's certainly functioning as a collector now because we're taking a ton of access from it, all within close proximity of other access points. Not local close, but it's certainly very close. Okay, so to get this industry area over there, I think I'm going to cheat a little bit. And what I mean by that is I'm going to take this, just draw a quick line over here, build out this area, fill it in, and then cut it right off. All right, now we're still good. This is still the same industry area. We're good to rock and roll now. So to begin, let's actually start out with some of our factories. So we have our grinding mill, and actually I'm going to put this over here because I think this makes the most sense that we would be grinding in close proximity to our ores. Okay, we're going to level the topography a little bit here just to make this fit a shade better. And then back to our paintbrush tool because I can't get enough of it today. And we will do a little bit of work here as well. Okay, so now we have grinding right here. I think we might have one more. And now these manufacturing plants and the kiln, fiberglass plant, that's really what I want to have over in this other area. So I'm going to focus my effort there in just a moment. But like I said, I got to keep messing with this this painting tool because soon enough it won't be my turn and I won't be able to do this. So keep playing with it while I can, while I have access to it. All right, so we have that. We're looking good. We are grinding ore, or not enough. This is operational. Okay, we're good there. I'm going to take a step back and focus on the next part, which is our glass manufacturing plant. So let's get this placed. So I want to leave enough room for a warehouse over here, multiple warehouses, truthfully. And then I think we're going to have an industry road between here to be able to disperse traffic a little bit. I'm going to pause this because I am going to destroy that road because I want to bring this down here and then make a nice smooth connection down into this roadway. I'm going to do something very similar over in this area, and the fiberglass plant is going to be behind it. And I will force that node where it absolutely does not want me to. So I like it. I think it works fine. So we need to level this a little bit. We don't want to go down a hill right away at this intersection. This would already be a tricky intersection, you figure. And then we have to get our power connected again. So we also need water in this area. So I'm going to do that before we place our fiberglass plant. We'll get to that in just a moment. And we are again going to loop these. Interestingly, we are having some trash problems and problems with our police department, which is very unfortunate. I'm not sure why they're not getting over here. But we could have a small station over here potentially to hopefully remedy some of that, and maybe a waste processing complex, or maybe we'll just go with a recycling center to handle some of the trash issues in this area. Although we do have, I think, a couple of waste processing complexes, so a transfer complex might do the trick. Okay, so we now have our fiberglass plant, and what we need now are a number of warehouses. We need this to function appropriately. So I do want to get anarchy off. I've got that on. That's not going to be helpful right now. If anything, it's going to make things way, way worse. So let's think about our warehouses. I think I'm going to have a couple here. Well, actually, let's start with one ore warehouse. And I think I might actually move it behind these buildings. The thought being, let's not have all of this disrespect occurring to the topography right there. Let's keep it in a place that maybe is a little more hidden. And I'm going to delete this out. I want to level this pad first. I just want to make sure that I get this right. And I didn't realize just how much topography that we're dealing with in this corner. We went outside of our level pad area quite a bit, and we are paying the price. So I think we're going to want to fix that significantly better. And we will place this building once again. And that's much better. We can work with this. We can certainly grade this and make it look natural. But with what we had before, it was going to be next to impossible. I figure I'll reconfigure the power lines a little bit right now. We kind of are going to the extreme with these overhead wires, and that's not something that I think would be very natural. So, okay, we've got that going now. And now we just have a place you could go to, what looks like a Panda Express, and get mugged. Not great. Go to the bowling alley. I guess that's safe-ish. And this place is just full of trash. So let's deal with some of that too. But we do need to find storage for all of these. So we have glass, and metals being produced over here. And we need storage for those. We also should probably think about at least one cargo terminal at this point. And I might actually place that right here. The thought being, if it's here, at least we might be able to use it for both industry areas. So I'll have a couple different warehouses around here, and I've got to set these appropriately now. So we know that we have 2 glass manufacturing operations. Number of workers there. Metals, not quite as much. So I think I'll set these 2 to metals and these 3 to glass. All right, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Oh, shoot. I'm going to slide these down too. So now that I'm thinking about it, I mentioned that I wanted to get a transfer facility for our waste. This is going to be the most appropriate place in the entire area for it, and I'm blocking it off. So that's no good. Don't want to do that. So this transfer facility should take it over to this processing complex right over there. I would think that this is close enough to get service. You look at it already and it's completely covered, but for some reason it's just not working. So we will include this complex over here, and hopefully that does the trick. And we're going to do a little bit more with our grading to just keep messing this up. Not messing it up, but I'm certainly creating a new landscape over here. One that is significantly different than the one that existed prior to all of my grading. All right, I think this is much better except for that lack of water over here. Let's get that figured out. We're good. So now we've got this complex over here. Let's see, I think I want this to be filled so that they're constantly taking this ore and bringing it over here. So let's get our police situation taken care of. And yeah, you can see there's absolutely no coverage over here. So I think I might add a police station, and I'm guessing that we're in the same spot with fire coverage. We are. So we'll just have a little services area over here. Oh, and death care. I don't know that I added any healthcare last time. Let's take a look. Yeah, we don't have a clinic. So this is a small town. I think that a clinic would be all that is required. So I think that a clinic, and why don't we have a cemetery? Kind of assume that this would be a historic little town at some point, apparently with industry roads. So we'll get that taken care of. So I think here I'm going to try to line this up with the highway. I will try my best anyway to line it up with the highway. And I want a road that is kind of like a frontage road, and we will use that as kind of our boundary for our residential development. And then we'll extend our grid into this area. And this will be the end of where we are gridding this area out. This will be the historic portion of the town, and assume that everything that comes after will be post-war suburban style development patterns that you'd kind of expect to see in many places. And I think we might switch it up depending on, I don't know where I'm going to be next. I don't mean that in a literal sense, like I don't know if I'm going to move. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be in this area, in Geneva, in some other area. We haven't established that yet. But if I do end up back over here, I will establish another development pattern. Oh, and the Fine Roads tool is just, it's getting the best of me today. So I need to do some work. All right, so that's not perfect, but we're certainly in a much better spot. Oh, that's much better. And there's a lot of weird stuff happening right here. I might need to take out a couple of... Oh, no, I'm not going to take out a couple of nodes because I can't do that. So I think maybe rather than trying to force this where the game's saying, nope, can't do that, I will just accept what they're telling me that I must do because I have no option. And we're going to leave this area for a park. I think that would be a reasonable thing. So I want to put a line of trees back, get kind of near the back edge of this to buffer some of the sound. So, in this game, it's really easy to put up sound walls, but sound walls are so expensive. You can lobby for a sound wall for 1 million years in some cases, and you're just not going to get it. It's the state that's going to grant that to you. Momentary blip there, I had a little bit of a visitor. So my daughter came down to ask for something. So that happens from time to time for me. So back to landscaping. I'm not going to get heavy into the detailing this episode. You might have noticed that I didn't add any fences either yesterday. It's not yesterday for you, but it's yesterday for me. I didn't add any fences to the prison or the ore area. I do intend to do that, but I'm going to do a lot of the detailing in the next episode. So, but I do want to get this one in because this, being able to break the sound, this would be required as a part of the development. You might have seen that I did that in Geneva as well. Landscaping is a significantly cheaper way to remedy sound pollution than a sound wall. And truthfully, it looks a lot nicer anyway. So at least I guess that's an opinion. So in my humble opinion, I think that it looks better. And so that's what we're doing. So I'm going to add some evergreens in here as well. So evergreen landscaping, particularly in an area where it snows or where the leaves fall off trees, it's a constant consideration because sometimes I'll have developers come up and they will propose oaks and maples and all of these really great trees as the only landscaping within their project area. And when you're trying to screen something that's not gonna screen much in the winter, so it's certainly a consideration that you have to be aware of and cognizant of, and really think about that a bit. So these are some pretty impressive factories, and they're working appropriately. Good enough for me. So at this point, I want to get this this cargo train terminal built here, so we're going to do that right now. Nothing fancy. I do think I want to back this off from the main road though. So we're going to have another road parallel to our main road. And I just don't want all of this loading occurring onto this main road if I can at all prevent it. So We're going to have that there. We'll back it up. We'll center this. And I'm going to level this with the existing train tracks. We'll level these roads in the exact same way. And it just looks a little bit off to me. So let's look at our terrain. Yeah, it's lower. I'm going to delete this for a moment and do what I should have done to start out with, and that's clearly click around every single menu. So what I should have done right off the bat is taken a look at the topography and not leveled it with a monster brush, but with a small one, because having a level pad for this is going to be incredibly important. And truthfully, now that I'm looking, as I look at these grades, it seems like I could raise this up right here entirely. Yeah, that's much nicer. Now this bridge just kind of starts with the land here. Oh, no, it doesn't. I like that a lot more. We will do a little bit of grading to fix some of the lumpies and bumpies that we're seeing here. Oh, that's much better. That's great. And now we will finally get this thing placed, and it won't be janky, because that was my main concern. Or it will be janky, but I will fix it. So this is a challenging area for a number of reasons. You can already see that there is some passing movements occurring here. And one of the big challenges is now there's no way to get over to this track. So I might actually do something that will likely be controversial and maybe wrong. Let me know. Let me know just how wrong it is, if it is wrong, because I want to hear. I'm going to have that cross track there. I know that this might lead to some vehicles getting stuck, but I feel like it's pretty important. I'm just adding one simple parallel track just for aesthetic purposes. Clearly won't function. All right. So another issue with this is going to be that this will not serve this area. It will not be able to go and serve the rest of the community. So this is going to be primarily, I guess, due to its location, it's going to be primarily for exports. Unless we make some sort of connection, but I don't think it's plausible in a way that would actually occur. So I'm going to go without it. Likely a bit of a controversial decision. If someone thinks that I made the wrong call, though, in a future episode, I'd say feel free to correct that. So I do think this will have some purpose, but it's certainly not as useful as others, and that's because of all of these movements that are occurring here. With the train already, there's just not a lot of space for me to make another connection unless I have a pretty sharp connection right here. I really don't like this, but I might. Whoops. Looks like I'm still clicked onto that parallel path back, or that path that I added back there. Maybe this isn't as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. It's not great, but it's not horrible. I think it's easy to get inside of your own head sometimes. And maybe that's where I was. It's not that bad. Okay, I'd love to get one more parallel track in here. There's just not space for that, so we won't do it. Actually, there is. We're going to do it. All right, I like this. It works for me. Because I'm in a real gravelly mood, we're going to patch this area, fill it in, make it look good from far, at least. Because we're going to get up to it, it's going to look pretty janky. Janky is what we're up to right now. So whatever you're doing right now, I want you to close your eyes and forget that you saw how bad this gravel mess looks, because I want to pretend that it looks nice. So look at how nice that looks from way up here. I love it. So great, perfect, good. Still trash and multiple problems at this location. I do not know what is wrong with it, but I just wonder, is it not placed on the road correctly? Maybe we'll just move it and that'll fix everything, or not. Maybe it'll still be broken. Yeah, when I look at emergency services at this point, it's covered. When I look at trash collection, it's covered. It is just not getting services to it. If any of the other builders has an idea or a theory, I am open, because this bugs me. This bugs me. So that said, I'm going to just not look at it for a minute. I think this is where we're going to end today. I think that we've made some good progress. Oh, look at that. Oh. It didn't actually fix anything. It looked good from the zoom level that I was at. Bummer. All right, well, we're in a good spot today. I'm going to finish up with some detailing next time. We'll put fences around here. We'll put fences around here. We will put fences around here. We will put some landscaping around everything. And we will finish up our zoning in this area. I did forget one thing, though. Just one. And that is, I said I wanted to place a cemetery. And then I started building out this massive grid. And the massive grid was a lot of fun, but I still need the cemetery, because people die here and they're not getting taken care of. So I think this will do the trick. Hopefully resolve our problem with death care. So we've got a lot of things that we need to zone in this area in the future, but I think we're making some good progress. So I'm going to leave it here. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please consider hitting that like button. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. And if you want to be notified when I release new videos, hit the notification bell. I want to give a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. Their names are listed here. And I'm going to leave you with a brief cinematic starting now.